Wareham, like Fairhaven and most South Coast communities, well known for its summer events. Wareham Harborfest happening June 27th this year. That's a Saturday, from 4 to 8 p.m. at Bessie Park. And as part of that, something called Sip Stroll is also happening at Bessie Park. Lorna Brunelle has helped organize Sip Stroll along with Harborfest. She joins us now this morning. Welcome, Lorna, and thanks for making some time.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Lorna, tell us a little bit about your role in community events in Wareham. I understand you've been doing this for some time.
Yeah, so about 16 years ago, I started a craft fair called Sip Stroll, and I trademarked it a few years ago. And basically, we bring together about 100 to 150 vendors, and we bring together food trucks, local restaurants, the bartending service of New England, and we put on a festival celebrating the arts and community. And the elected officials in Wareham attended my Sip Stroll event in Middleborough, and some folks from the Wareham Redevelopment Authority came down to Middleborough and approached me during the event and said, "We think this is really cool. Would you consider bringing it on the road to Wareham?" So by then we had already set up shop in Kingston, so we thought, why not expand over to Wareham? I went to Wareham Public Schools when I was little. Mm-hmm. My mom lived over on Arrowhead Drive in Buzzards Bay for all of my adult life. My dad owns a restaurant in Middleborough. In Wareham. My brother owns an arcade. So Wareham has always been very connected to my family. So it was a really fun, passage of time, if you will, for me to come back and have a full circle moment. So we met over at my dad's restaurant about a year ago, and some members of the Board of Selectmen of the Wareham Redevelopment Committee asked if I would step in for the interim of Oysterfest, because the original promoters of Oysterfest were taking a break after 8 years or so, just a pause. So I stepped in during the pause, and we had a great festival last year. Oysterfest was over at Bessie Park in May. And then this year they asked me to come back and produce again, but with respect to the idea that the original producers may resume Oysterfest, we changed it to Harborfest. Mm-hmm. So we have Harborfest in June, and then we have Harvest Fest back at Bessie Park in October.
Well, okay, that's an explanation of that. Because as I was reading about it, I said, well, how many festivals have we got here? But you've got Harborfest and Sip Stroll.
Yep.
So you're organizing Harborfest, is that right? What will be happening there? Give us a picture of what will be happening there.
Sure. So everything falls under the umbrella of Sip Stroll, because that's my trademark. So it's Sip Stroll Harborfest, Sip Stroll Harvest Fest, Sip Stroll Summer, Sip Stroll Winter, just to explain how that works. Okay. And then, so at each festival, we have all of the vendors set up, and this event is outside, so it'll be 10 by 10 tents with 106 vendors. We have 5 food trucks. Warren's Harborview restaurant will be serving food outside. They'll provide a sitting area. We have a live band. So there'll be music. There'll be face painting. Lots of really cool local vendors who will be, out there selling jewelry and handmade soap and candles. And basically, it's just a wonderful way to come out and see the beauty of Wareham, experience the community, meet the local vendors and crafters. The harbor master, who we love working with, is going to bring down one of the boats, so guests can go on the boat and take pics, and children can pretend that they're driving the boat. And that was a really fun component of the event last year. Mm-hmm. And it's really just a celebration of community. It's very family-oriented. You see lots of strollers, lots of people just with their entire family, grandparents, kids, walking around just having a great day. So if you're a foodie, there's going to be something for everybody. We have the local food truck from Wareham called Adobo Republic. They'll be selling some beautiful Filipino food. We have a fantastic barbecue truck called South Shore Smokehouse. We have berry sweets coming, and they dip fruit in chocolate, so they're known for their strawberries. Boards and Barrels is coming. They're known for their steak tips. Coffee Milano will be out there with some fried dough and iced coffee and lemonade and sausages. And my dad will be with his chef, Victor, handling all the seafood on behalf of Warren's Harborview. So oysters, lobster rolls, fish sandwiches. And then the music will be fantastic. We have a great band coming out that covers a lot of cover tunes from like the 80s and 90s and some current songs. And we just need Mother Nature to understand the assignment. But if she doesn't, the rain date is the next day on Sunday, same time, same place.
Okay. Well, you have recapped that. You made me hungry there for a second, talking about all that delicious food. What's the concept of Sip and Stroll? What is that all about?
So honestly, it was just a way to distinguish myself from other craft fairs, because there are craft fairs all over the Commonwealth, and they all serve a wonderful purpose. And in the beginning of my career, I hosted craft fairs without a sip component. The sip really just means whatever your celebration is. For the kids, it's a Shirley Temple. For me, it's a seltzer water with a splash of cranberry and lime. For somebody else, it might be a glass of wine. And it's just the idea of walking through and strolling with a cup of coffee. We have a wonderful iced coffee vendor called Coffee Milano, hot coffee, cold coffee. Just walking around and looking at beautiful things reminded me of being a kid growing up. My grandparents were in Watertown, and there were bazaars at all of the churches in an Armenian neighborhood, Italian neighborhoods. Just all of the churches had craft fairs, if you will, but they were called bazaars, and they had food and drink. And then as I was older, a bunch of friends of mine, we would go down to Harwichport every year for the Cranberry Festival to see the fireworks, and it was the same concept of my childhood, seeing all the tents and the beautiful jewelry and the artists and the food. And then being outdoors was just like a really fun extra bonus for me. It just felt like, being little, but being on the Cape, right? So it was like the bazaars of my youth, but on a much more like grand scale. And then I was lucky enough to take a few trips to Italy and France and England. And each time I've been in those different countries, there are these beautiful outdoor air markets. And I just wanted to sort of blend all of that together and bring it into my, my community here. And it's become quite a movement. Like, folks will plan their weekends and come in from, if somebody grew up in the area but they moved out of state, say they're in New Hampshire or Connecticut or Rhode Island, they'll come back for the weekends and plan it around meeting up with friends and family to come to the event. And we're so lucky. We love the team in Wareham. Everyone at the town hall is wonderful. Wareham Redevelopment is sponsoring the event. The first responders are great. We love working with the chief of police and fire, EMS, harbor master. We've never been greeted with such open arms. And like I said, it's a full circle moment because I was a kid at the Deaconess School, and, coming back and being there, all of my nieces and nephews were born at Toby. So it's a cool vibe to be there. So to answer your question, the concept is just supporting artisans. And, most people look at a craft fair and think, well, maybe somebody's walking home with like $50 because they sold something that they made by hand. But in all actuality, we're supporting people who are paying mortgage payments and car payments and child care. And I write a piece and post it every week before the event. We have 10 events this year. And I say, there's always a story behind the vendors that you're meeting. By the grace of God, I'm in the position to be able to support these events. Some of them are having this booth today to help take their family to Disney. Some of them have the booth today because they're retired and they miss that connection with community. Some are retired veterans who are still, serving their country in a different way now, right? They're making wooden flags, or they're selling beautiful flag magnets, or they're making wonderful keychains and beautiful things, right? So everyone has a story. There are people who grew up as first-generation Americans who are sharing family heirloom recipes for jelly and jam and sauce and pickles. There are folks who have moved here from other countries who are selling honey. We have one woman from Lithuania who will be there. She's a Rochester vendor selling Nettie's Bees honey. We have Ripe from the Vine from Marion and Mattapoisett area selling olive oil, and several vendors right from Wareham who are selling delicious food and beautiful things. So for me, it's an opportunity to highlight, other than a big box sale or an Amazon sale. And you know what? I'm an Amazon girl too. I'm the first one to admit it. And I also shop at big box stores, but this is an opportunity to grab something handmade or handcrafted and it means so much knowing that I have a blanket on my couch from somebody who made that and who then took the money from the booth proceeds that day and took their family to Great Wolf Lodge,
Right.
or covered their mortgage or paid off a student loan. We have several vendors who are young nurses who are still working their way through their loan payments and stuff. And it just makes me feel wonderful at the end of the day knowing that this little side hustle, if you will, for some of the artists is helping them have a beautiful life. But for many of them, it's their actual primary income. They're brick and mortar vendors who are out in the community to network and expand their messaging and their audience, if you will. And it's really sticking because the amount of repeat sales from shoppers who meet people at Sip and Stroll is really high. So you develop a fan base, and they've followed us from Middleborough to Kingston to Wareham to Norton. Now we're going to North Attleboro, and we have 3 other communities who have invited us in. So we're looking at Foxborough, we're looking into Bridgewater, but my home base is always going to be Middleborough and Wareham because that's where my childhood roots are.
You're listening to Town Square Sunday. I'm Jim Phillips. My guest is Lorna Brunelle of Wareham. She is overseeing Sip and Stroll Harborfest. Sip and Stroll Harborfest in Wareham on June 27th from 4 to 8 p.m. Now listen to this. In Fairhaven that same day is the Fairhaven Homecoming Day Fair from 10 to 4. People can go from one, and they got 150 vendors. People can go from one spot, take a drive down Route 6 to Wareham and spend the night, the evening there from 4 to 8 p.m.
I love it.
It sounds like a wonderful day.
That's great.
Anyway, look, you've got, in order to reduce motor vehicle traffic around Bessie Park, I'm sure, you're instituting park and ride shuttle service. Tell us about that. Where can people
Thank
get
you
on
for
board?
asking. We're really excited about this. We have collaborated with Derek Sullivan, the town manager of Wareham and Wareham Public Schools. The buses are going to be picking folks up at the Wareham Town Hall and driving them down to Bessie Park. All day we'll have 2 school buses. So when you pull into the town hall, just look for a big yellow bus. And we're going to go old school, back to school, jump on the bus and come on down. And then Gatchel will be running their normal bus schedule that day. And then in addition to that, there is downtown parking like in the Village and on Main Street. But we always say park and ride. You know, it's a great alternative to having to find somewhere to park downtown.
No admission charge, right, Lorna?
No, you literally just read my mind. Thank you. It's free to the public. And speaking of admission, every booth fee that is paid, the vendors who pay their booth fees for their 10 by 10 tents, those fees go into a scholarship of the performing arts for kids to study at the Burtwood School in Middleborough, which is the school that I've owned for 30 years. So we have a couple wonderful kids from Wareham who are on a full scholarship from the Sip and Stroll Scholarship. One of them is a little girl in middle school there who's doing our production of The Wizard of Oz this summer. Another girl from Wareham who we loved sponsoring has a play that she just produced and co-wrote with a friend that's going to be previewing in New York. So we feel like that whole, the moments of giving back to the community, in addition to supporting the vendors, you're also supporting kids to study the arts.
Lorna, if people want to learn more about Sip and Stroll Harborfest, where can they go? Is there a website?
They can find me on, the website is burtwoodschool.com, and it's B-U-R-T, Wood, W-O-O-D, school.com. Or they can find me on all social media platforms at Lorna Brunelle.
My guest has been Lorna Brunelle, organizer of Harborfest, really Sip and Stroll Harborfest, Saturday, June 27th, 4 to 8 p.m. in Wareham. Lorna, thanks for making some time available, and good luck with this.
I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you so much. I hope to see you at the stroll.
That's it for Town Square Sunday this week. Thanks to Mike Roberts, Tim Weisberg for their help getting this program on the air and on social media. Join us next week for Town Square Sunday. Until then, have a wonderful Sunday and a great week ahead.